So I'm going to create a theme today, and I didn't do anything since last time that I streamed. So I think what I'm probably gonna do is to copy the icons that they have. Probably gonna copy the entire folder that I have for the editor icons. And I was thinking about it just now to copy the way that they did there for initializing the theme, but to do it in a generic way instead of the way that they did it. So the way that they're doing is by initializing the theme on a function, the editor theme on a function, and I think I'm just gonna change that function so that it receives the theme instead, because that way I can create multiple different themes. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm not really sure how important it is for creating the theme class or why. So maybe I spend some time studying the editor theme to try to understand why they did it that way. And for the other class that I did, I'm thinking to, after I create a theme, to see if I can change the way that it is. So that's because right now, I think it makes more sense to create one theme and then set the theme on the roots of the nodes. And then if you really want, you create another, or you set the theme for specific nodes outside of the node. I think that makes more sense than initializing the theme as part of the node because that way you maintain some sort of consistency. So it's probably one of the reasons why they did the editor theme the way that they did. Honestly, it looks like just from looking at this that the main reason why they did the editor theme class is just for the different types that the editor theme has. So maybe it's not worth it to do the editor theme class. It's probably better to just try to incorporate this. So this is the part that I was saying that I was thinking about getting this function and then just passing the theme instead of initializing here. But I think that for all of the different themes, I'm gonna have to create a unique theme probably. thinking about how to organize everything. So I'm thinking that's probably better to use functions and not use a theme class, just use functions. So like organize everything based on the root. So I have a file. I'm not really sure now what to do when it comes to the files. Because what I want to do is put the helper functions that they use there on the manager. Because I think mainly what the theme's gonna be is just setting the style boxes on the theme class. And the main reason for doing this class here is just for the types. So I don't think that it's worth it to do this class here. But then how do you organize? Because the themes are gonna be functions probably instead of classes. So I'm not really sure if it makes sense to put. I think it makes sense to create a file for helper functions. So how to call that? I have a file for helper functions and then I put all the functions that they have there that help create the theme. So mainly the ones that create the style boxes and this stuff. So it duplicates the base style and then it changes, duplicates here. Nice. It should be here. Okay. Hmm. And maybe it makes sense to separate each thing on a file because it looks like there's a lot of stuff that they do here for the themes. So I should probably create two different files. One I put the helper functions, and the other one, instead of creating a class, I'm gonna create functions. I'm just gonna, like, it feels kind of redundant to create a unique header file and C++ file just to put one function. That's the thing that I'm thinking about now. But the other thing, obviously, is whether or not you use a class instead of function, but I don't see why they create a class here. Maybe it's because of the finalize. I'm gonna start by creating the first file here. I guess I'm just gonna call theme helper functions or theme helper. So the way that I'm thinking about doing is by, I don't see a point of creating another class. Or maybe I can create a class for each one, and then I just call a function, like one function instead of the class. It's basically the same thing. So in this file, I'm gonna put the functions that they have to help there. So the functions that create this style box and stuff like that. The main thing that I'm thinking about is what to do on each specific thing, because I think it's just gonna be one function for. But the problem is that it looks that like if I'm gonna do a full thing the same way that they did on the editor, it's gonna be a bunch of stuff. So I don't want to do everything in one file because I don't think it's gonna be very good. But putting one function, like it would be the way that I'm thinking about it is just one function, then initialize a theme on the function like they did here, and then I just call all the helper functions from the other file to just change the values of the theme, and then I just return the theme. And then like the variations of themes would be basically the same. So like the problem is like obviously on one like it would be better if I can create something that I can reuse or like yeah. So maybe I should think about classes like theme for different parts of the editor for different classes and stuff like that. And then I compose based on each thing. It might be better. This might be annoying as well. I'm just gonna put ascon script here. And I think mm, should think about. I think I'm gonna do this composition. Try the composition thing. But then it wouldn't make sense to put on the theme helper. Maybe it does. So instead of doing it doesn't make sense, sure. Hmm. If I'm gonna create a function for each part of the thing, like, it doesn't make sense because it would be basically the same things. It makes more sense to create a generic function that receives this stuff as an argument, and then just reuse the same function, and then I put on the helper. So I think that's like, if you want to customize, you're gonna have to call the functions anyway. Thinking about what is the best way to structure things, because that's the hardest part. So I have to think about how it's gonna grow, or I'm not really sure if it makes sense to. I don't think it makes sense to compartmentalize different parts. So I do different functions, for example, for different classes, and Because what I'm thinking about is like, let's say I have a scene and I want a specific parts of the scene to look in a certain way. Let's say I designed the scene with a certain kind of button, and then I want to compose another scene with that same button. So if I design the whole theme, then like obviously it doesn't work. So it makes more sense to create like a function that would create the style for that specific part of the scene. But the question is like, how do you draw the line of what is going to be the boundary of the function for these styles? And if you do, as always, it's going to be like somewhere in the middle. But if I do for each specific thing, then it defeats the point because then it's just easier to create a generic function like they did here to create the style box. Then you just pass the arguments. So I would have another layer of abstraction, like a function to style the button in a certain way. But I'm not really sure if that makes sense. The other approach is just to create one function for each theme, which is similar to what they did here. But I think here they did kind of like this mix approach where the first function creates the general style, and then the other functions create the different themes probably. So I'm thinking about like how to structure this on the stuff that I have there. Probably the first file makes sense, which is the helper, and I'm just gonna put there the functions to generate the icon. I think the first one's gonna be, so I'm gonna change the name so is generate editor icons instead, because obviously I'm gonna put those editor icons on one folder, and then in case I want to do other icons, I can just change. I can just add another folder. I think the composition approach makes more sense for this, but I'm just not sure where to draw the line of how to structure the functions. So maybe each thing here. Hmm. The other question is whether or not to use this config here, because I think it makes kind of confusing. I'm not really sure if I see the point of doing this. Why not just generate the style and then just set the style right away? I could pass the theme instead of passing the config. But maybe it does make sense. Because you don't want to set right away, you just want to have an intermediate thing to. So the first thing that I'm thinking about is these sections here. They do on the config so that they can change the control flow thing. I think they do this because of the editor settings, but it probably also helps on the control flow here. I mean, Probably I should use the same stuff. I'm thinking passing this struct outside of the class and just putting the helper file there. Be right back. I'm just gonna copy, I'm gonna put the configuration outside there. I'm gonna put it on the file. Otherwise, I think I'm just gonna spend too much time thinking about this. So I'm gonna use this theme in both the, I think I'm gonna structure the functions like that. So what are the functions? Create chart styles. So this functions here, I'm gonna put there. So maybe they don't have a declaration. I think they don't have a declaration. The other functions I'm gonna put here. So I'm gonna put these ones in the bottom. Yes. I'm gonna put the declaration because I'm probably, yeah. So I need to put the declaration there so I can use. Oh, this is gonna be a problem actually because it's the same function. So maybe I should put a prefix. Because the thing is, I think I have to put it on the path there instead of using these ones because these ones are only gonna build for the editor version. So even though the function is the same, you need to guarantee that it's gonna be built with the module. So I'm just gonna change the name. Just gonna put the prefix on all of them. It is kind of annoying though. So maybe I create a class instead. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, attributes after this. And I have to change the names probably, because otherwise it's probably gonna complain. So I'm just gonna do this. The downside of doing this is that it's gonna be kind of confusing to understand, but the copy one I don't think I need. If the default theme has this, then why isn't it showing there? I'm gonna try this. Yeah. I'm gonna try this first. Let's see if it compiles first, then I'm gonna try this. Like what I'm contemplating about is whether or not I need to, because it feels kind of like a waste of, uh, I did think about it before I started streaming today, that I didn't need to use or copy the icons there, but I'm not 100% sure because of the editor thing. So like I was thinking that, why can't why should I copy the icons from the theme, from the editor theme, if I can just use the same function that they use there and just include the header file that has the function and then just use the same icons and the same file that they use on the editor. But I think that the problem is the build system. That's the thing that I'm not 100% sure. I think you have to, because on the game version is gonna be, maybe you don't. Like I kind of know the question that I'm trying to clarify, but not really. It's like more about the the difference between the assets on when you build the project and when you run the game. Because I think when you're running the game, you're probably running the same editor executable, but with different arguments, and that's how it opens the process to run the game on the editor. So the main difference probably is that is not building the it's not creating the editor node instance, but it still has the stuff that it compiled to create the editor executable. So it still has the things, but I think it's probably not a good idea to use the stuff that is specific to the editor, because when you're gonna build the final export template that you're gonna use, you will most likely want to build the executable that doesn't have the editor stuff, so it's a lot lighter. So I think, yeah, that's probably the case. So I should probably copy there anyway, even if it works. What I'm thinking about doing now is just asking to see if I get the default theme instead, because I think that both the default theme and the editor theme have the same icons there. And the reason why it's not showing is because I'm setting the icon based on the. But it is kind of weird because you should use that default theme by default, obviously. So I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know if you have to explicitly set the icon so that it shows, but I'm gonna try this now, which is just use the theme DB to get the default theme, and then I just get the icon, and from there instead I just set this one, and this one is the one that is being set here on the bottom. So I'm gonna test to see if that works. But even if it works, I'm still gonna do the theme stuff there probably. So I have to see if if it's gonna compile. Also, I don't remember because I did try to. I have to comment this out. So did try to set the theme here, but it doesn't work. It crashes because when you run the game, it doesn't have access to the editor settings. So I couldn't test to see if it works, if it would work setting the theme. It's not calling this. So maybe, yeah, let me see. Another one. Also doesn't call here. So I guess it's calling from the control. Notification, post initially. So maybe like the file dialog is probably not from the editor. I could try to choose the file dialog. But it makes me think, why are they using the other one? Doesn't make sense. This file dialog and reload. Name is start file. It's weird because this inherits from confirmation dialog and not file dialog. Hmm. So maybe we should try to use this instead of the other one. I'm still gonna do the theme anyway because that's something that I have to do for other stuff, but maybe I should try to use that instead. I don't understand why because they, I think you can change the theme on the file dialog as well, so I don't understand why they create another class. Obviously, there must be a reason to create the editor file dialog. So, oh, it might be just because of the directory, the way that they change the directories, or it's probably gonna be the same thing. If it works with this one, then I should probably delete the other class. Just use this one and then I create the theme. If I want to change the style, I just create the theme. But I think it's gonna just emit the same signal if I select it. Isonometry. Not really sure what you do now. Because I have to understand how they use the editor file dialog on the other one to understand how it's gonna be, if it is gonna be connected with the file system and how is it connected. I also need to study the file system doc first. Well, that's because I was setting the thing. Hmm. I'm gonna have to open from here, then delete the node and then run again. Because the way that I did this but it should be recreating every time. So I'm not really sure actually. It must be something to do with a cache. Class set. What I'm gonna do is just stats to see, because the main thing that is I'm not sure about. The only reason why I copied this class is because they are using the editor file dialog, and I didn't realize that there is a file dialog class that is not coupled with the editor. So I guess what I can try to do is just change show editor file dialogs here first, and then see what happens. Because the main concern that I have is that there's probably a reason why they created the other thing. So I assume that it has something to do with the functionality. But I'm thinking about like I'm gonna create the bridge with this signal anyway. So it shouldn't. So I guess like the question is how to clarify what exactly is different, or like if I need to use the editor file dialog instead of the file dialog. Because if I can use the file dialog, then I'm probably gonna do that, and then I'll continue the theme, but I'm gonna change the theme from the root node anyway. So the theme is gonna be more like this part that I'm creating. Just gonna be based on the functions. I create uh, different themes, and then I can just reuse and compose themes outside. Then for each scene, I can just call the functions and then just set the themes. If I want to override, I just set on the specific node that I want to change the theme. So like the theme is going to be decoupled from the structure of the nodes. So and the main reason for creating this is just because they use this one. So if I can use the file dialog, then I should probably delete this class here. It still doesn't show anything. But I guess it's different than it was before. And now it's showing some icons here. I still think it's the same as it was before. So it's not showing the icon. I'm gonna try to do the file dialog. As I have to see, I open the file and it's basically the same icon. So I know that the reload icon is supposed to be the same. That reload that I'm getting now on the, so like obviously makes me think that the problem is somewhere else in some other parts of the logic. Because the default theme should be accessible on the game, even if the editor is not built. So assume that it is getting and it is setting the icon there on the class. So it should show the editor the reload icon after I change to get from the TeamDB. So it must be something else that is wrong. Well, understand how this works. I guess another thing I could do is just set, try to manually set. So if it doesn't work with the file dialog, I'm gonna try to delete the whole thing and then create again, you see? So this is different. It still doesn't allow other paths other than this. Hmm. Let's see how this one sets the thing. Position thing change. So if it doesn't set here, then what the fuck is going on? Does it make any sense? I guess it has to be on the thing. It's on the base class. No, it doesn't make any sense actually. So the only option is that is setting there on the other thing, the enum there. Behind Steam. Yeah, it has to be here. So where does it do this? By methods. Yeah, like what it doesn't make sense is that if it doesn't initialize the icon on the variable there, then how is this setting? Like, doesn't make any sense. Oh, I guess it says here. Gosh. So when it binds, it says. I'm gonna try to do the same thing. So instead of setting there on the, I just wanna see if this one works. Because if it works, then what I can do is just use this one. Because it looks like the both of them still have the problem that you are trapped into the project directory, which is not what I want. But I can find a way to solve this, I think. But it looks like the layout is different as well. So it's probably better to continue and try to do it with this one instead and just change the thing. Because that's the one that they use there on the other stuff, the other class. It might be a file dialog here some class. I think item data type. Sports file dialog. Be right back. I was gonna look into how do they, if they do the same thing on the default thing when it comes to generating the icons. So if I can, I probably think that's better to continue to use the the VM file dialog, which is just the editor file dialog, because that's the one that they use. So, but I also remove a bunch of functionality, but it looks similar. I think it looks better than the other one. And then I'm gonna use these default icons if I can. But I'm still gonna do the same thing that they do here. So I have to see. But these ones are actually from the whole thing, so I guess I can just use the functions directly. I don't have to copy them on the file that I have there. So maybe I don't need the other file. I just use these functions here, and then I include include the header. Actually, how? Yeah. So not really sure if I can because if it's not declared on the header, but I should be able to use on the other files maybe. Well, yeah, let's see. Maybe these ones are declared on the header. So I guess I can try to put them there, the declaration of the static, so I don't have to declare with a different name, and then I can just reuse this, mainly these functions here. I was curious to see. And this is what I want to just see. So it's basically the same thing that they do for the other one. So I guess they just copied they created this one first probably, and then from the for the editor just copy the stuff, which exactly is exactly what I was thinking about doing. You just put the name of the hashtag, the path to the file. Then you use glob to get the icons. I'm probably gonna do this as well on the one that I have there. But if I can use the default icons for that class, then I think it's obviously better because I don't need to use the same icons or copy the same icons on the module. Oh, I forgot to change there. I'm gonna have to go back to the other one. Still doesn't show. I guess the only difference between this one and the other one is the recent here. So maybe they just did the. I think it's probably better to use the other one. Like both because I'm not gonna have to think about this stuff here, and also because I'm realizing now that the main difference between this one and the other one is just the this part here, which I'm not gonna use anyway, because this is related to the editor functionality there. I think it's editor settings, uses editor settings. There was also the favorites as well that I removed already. So it might be just better to use the other one. And then if I want to customize the theme, I do it from outside anyway. So it's probably some function that I removed or something. The reason why it's not showing the icon. So I'm pretty sure, obviously I'm gonna do the themes still, but what I'm gonna do now, because just like I said, it's gonna be easier, and I don't see. I'm pretty sure. Obviously, I'm not 100% confident, but pretty sure that the main difference is gonna be just the recents and the favorites. And if it is something else, I'm gonna have to implement anyway because I deleted a bunch of stuff on this one to make it work. So, but I think that mainly the point of connection is just by using the signal, which you connect outside of the class anyway. So I'm just gonna leave the file dialog there, and I'm gonna delete the other class that I created probably. So for the theme, I'm gonna copy this file here. I'm gonna do it exactly the same way that they did. So it just put this code on the main SC sub file. When you use this, it runs the other SC sub. It's gonna run the SC sub on the icons, and this one's gonna read all the files, and it's gonna call. This I think is from scones. It creates a class on scones. And I think it is a factory class. I didn't like that much, to be honest, the way that they structure, like the scones designed this, but I think the way that it works is that they put this value on the environment, this one, and then when you like instantiate the class again, it's basically just running this function with these two arguments here. And this one's gonna contain all the files, SVG files. This one's gonna contain the path to a file that's gonna be dynamically generated. And here is just hinting at the suffix that the file is gonna have. I think that this is just the extension of the source files that are gonna be used to build. And then this function is the other one there, which is like basically the same thing as the other one. Just gonna receive the path here and the files. And then here is just gonna write in Unicode to the file all the SVG's characters and also the count, I think. Yeah, so the count is based, so that it creates the name based on this and the amount based on the buffer. This is basically so this is just gonna create the code there that they use. And the main thing that I'm thinking, so there's two things. One is whether or not to change the header file on the default theme so that I can use the same functions that they use to help build, or just leave the way that it is there and just change the name. Maybe it's just easier to just change the name and just copy the way that, like the same functions that they have there, and then just copy this stuff. The other functions, but these ones, I think I have to because they are dependent on the icons that you dynamically generate. So this is the main, like, one of the things that I'm thinking about, because the way that I'm thinking about doing is like potentially having different sets of icons for different themes. But not sure if it makes sense to create a new function each time, but I think it might be necessary because you have to, or I can just pass this instead. Is this is going to be the one that gets dynamically generated, and the other is going to be the same thing. So on the generate icon, as default thing. It's gonna get from here, and then here is the dynamically generated, and it's gonna include the other there. The second argument is a string. The thing that I guess I can create like a function, and just I pass this argument through here, and then I can have multiple different icons. I just pass. It's basically the same thing. So the main difference is the arguments. I'm just gonna create a function there. So I'm gonna change the names. The other ones I'm gonna leave the names as they are. So I'm gonna delete this one. So I'm going to use the file dialog on the other class, so I don't have to worry about changing the other one. I'm probably gonna delete the BM file dialog, and I'm probably just I'm gonna see, and maybe I should set up the icons now and just copy a couple of them, just so I can have, just so I have the build system. But I think for the class specifically there, it's probably better to just use the default theme ones. So like I wanna set, I think I'm gonna set up now the icons just to see, like just to get the build system and working, and because I'm probably gonna use that later. So, but I'm thinking that probably doesn't make sense to have a bunch. I think it does because like it uses all of them to generate the icons for a thing. So, but I guess maybe I can change based on the index. Like I'm thinking about situation. Actually, it's probably better to just see if I can change based on the index. Because the way that they did here, it kind of forces you to. They are adding all the icons to the theme. So like you can't really pick one, I think, or a couple of them, only the ones you will like. Because let's say I wanna have because what is gonna happen is that probably I'm gonna have more icons than 'cause if you think about like creating multiple different projects in one place only, it's likely that the amount of icons you're gonna have, you're not gonna wanna choose all of them for all the projects. So you're gonna use a subset of the overall icons. So it doesn't make sense to go over all of them. But I was thinking about creating a folder for each subset, but I also think that okay, it's a waste of time because then you would have a bunch of duplicate icons. So I think that probably the best thing to try to do. But I think based on the way that they did, it's hard to see like if you can pick by name or something. But maybe can so. Yeah, because the names are, but I guess the names are generated based on the. Also, I think I'm thinking about it in the wrong way. So, hmm. Yeah, if you want to set the icons for a specific class, you probably have to get from the default theme. So the way I'm thinking about it is that the default theme is gonna be applied on all the nodes, but maybe that's not what is going on. It's generating all the icons with the names, and I think like it's gonna set on the theme some of these icons. 'Cause otherwise, why would you use the enum there? I have to spend more time trying understanding that enum before I copy the function. Because then otherwise, I think until I need custom icons, but I'm probably gonna need the custom icons anyway. So I should probably but I think for that part, I should probably download some icons for the icon sidebar thing. Or maybe I have to see if they have a file icon. They probably do actually. So maybe don't need in the beginning. I could just reuse the ones that they have. They're setting the icons here, but I think when you set the icon the thing, it doesn't automatically. It's not gonna set on the node. And that's the. How does that work? I guess it works based on the name of the. So it probably does set. And what I need to clarify is whether or not this theme is gonna be a, because I do think that it sets the specific icons there. Because when it calls the set icon is gonna be putting that on the hash map that the theme class has, and it's probably gonna use that hash map to determine what is gonna happen with each node, and it does that based on the theme type and the name. So I think that the enum there that it uses might be, but if the enum was just for, but it might be because even if I set the enum on the other class, it didn't work. So the enum might be just for documentation or something. And the actual part that the file dialogues creating the icon is on a different place. That's probably coming from the theme. It sets the. I need to clarify if it's gonna set the default theme for all the nodes on the. It probably doesn't work. It works on the root node probably. So set on the root node, and then the other nodes that are children are gonna get from that one. A set project theme. Not sure if this doesn't do anything. Yeah, I don't think that it doesn't. I do think that on that default theme is going to, like, the question is whether or not by setting the icon that on that theme is gonna set automatically on the nodes, or if you have to manually set. It's here, the only thing that is related to that reload is so what I'm gonna do is just comment it on. Yeah, but it is setting here, so it has to be based on this, which is being updated based on the macro there. So it has to be setting based on the macro. So I think that the theme by itself doesn't set the style of the nodes. You have to set on the node itself. And because this is going to be the button there that they use. Yeah. So I think that the theme is just a template and it's going to hold the caches. So what I can do is just set from the theme. If I want any icon that the default theme already has, it's probably better to just set the icon using the macro that the same macro that they use there. So create this theme cache. That makes more sense. But I still probably need to copy the way that they did there the SVGs because I'm gonna probably use other icons. But I think that's actually this is the whole point that I had of the confusion. So maybe what I can do is just, yeah, so I think that I actually don't need to do this. Because one thing that I could do is just download the SVGs and put on the same folder as the default theme, and just the main difference is going to be the name because that's how they save there. So the name of the SVG file is the one that is translated into the file that gets generated on build time. So these names here are going to be the thing that determines how it saves on the thing. It's going to be a map that is going to keep track of the name with the bytes, which is the SVG used for the thing, or for the icon. So if I want to, either I can create there on the module and just copy the way that they do it, or I can just put another SVG and then just select whatever name I want, and then I can get from the default thing the same way that they do on the other stuff. I think that might be better than creating the icon thing. Oh, the main difference would be the scale. So I think this is the reason why they changed there on the. So I have to see how to. I think that if you can change the size of the icon outside, but then it gets kind of. It's not gonna be very good. But if you want, then you can just use an image. Okay, did on the and use resource loader. So do I do the icon? I think I'm just gonna leave here and then I'm gonna think about this later. I'm gonna put the values as defaults there instead of making like this. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like this and then put one there. But I'm not gonna do this now. Because I'm thinking that it might be better to just use the editor ones and then whenever I want a new icon, I just put on the same folder that the default theme uses. And then I set up in the same way that they do there. Just use the enum, create the cache inside of the class, and just update the value of the cache. So I guess the last thing that I'm gonna do today is going to be. So let me remember. I'm gonna run one more time to see. I'm probably gonna delete the other file, the other class that I did there. So the one thing that I do think it makes sense to do now, and I think that is the last thing that I'm gonna do, is to move, instead of creating the thing here on this class, I'm going to just put this function on the thing folder there. And then I'm gonna create the thing from outside of the class, and then I'm gonna set the thing. outside. Just see if it works. But I don't think I'm not gonna delete now. I'm just gonna comment out the thing here. I'm gonna test on another project to see if it works. So I have to create a class probably. I have to create a class so I can register on class DB. I just realized now that's probably better to for the teams. For the different teams, it's better to create a class because then you can change on the editor. Um, so each thing that I still use the generic functions there. And mainly these ones just so I don't have to create the or write the stuff all the time. But then on the classes I'm gonna use these functions to build. But then it doesn't make sense. That's the thing. I'm gonna do the class and then test, and then I'll think about whether or not it makes sense to leave these functions here, or if I'm gonna be forced to just rewrite them each time depending on the class. And what I wanna do is just transfer these style boxes here to a theme class and then start on the theme, because that makes more sense. The problem is that I can't really do the same way that they did on the editor because of the cache. So the way that they did that works on the editor because it runs on the runtime of the editor. But the way that I have to do, like, it doesn't make sense to because if I create the theme outside and then I just set the values of the theme, then it doesn't save anywhere. Yeah, I think that it makes more sense to create a new class for each thing and then just set everything on the class. And then that way I can set the themes on the editor. Yeah. The only thing I have to so probably it's worth it to keep the class that I have there and just change so that I inherits from file dialog because I'm gonna have to change the functionality, but I don't wanna change the other class. because this one it traps into the roots of the project, and I think it's because of the dir access functionality. So I'm gonna leave the other class. I'm just gonna change the inheritance and just remove the all the functions, and then I'm gonna see how yeah, what can I change so that's yeah, but maybe this is a problem because it's gonna be the same thing. Yeah, I need to copy the file that yeah, the file dialog class instead, and then change the name to the one that I was using there, and then change that class, change the functionality from that class. But I'm gonna do this off stream. And this one. So another thing that I was gonna see is the thing here. This is the thing. Mm. So just set from here, it has to be a resource. The thing is, I didn't want to change. I'm gonna manually see if it is still working because I do remember last time that oh yeah, so it does work here. So this one is just thinner because of the style there. So this is what I wanna test. So I'm gonna test first, and I'm gonna think more about this later. Just remove or comments out the functions on the icon sidebar that create the thing. I'm gonna test first when I do this. If it is gonna be the same there, or if it's gonna change the style of the thing. Then after I do this, I wanna see if I set the thing from the roots of the node there, if it's gonna pick up on the child. And then I have to spend more. It's kind of annoying to think about like how to structure this, if I should put a class or functions, because I think that from the editor is gonna be annoying anyway because it expects a resource, so expects a file for the thing. So I'm not really sure if creating a class and inherits from the theme is gonna be good or it doesn't matter. Because if it doesn't matter, it's probably better to create a function. And then on each project, I would just call the function to create the thing. And inside the function, you just initialize the normal thing. And the main difference would be the other functions that I would use from here and both inside of the main function that would just set the different properties for that thing. But now that I think about it, it's still probably, even if you, no, I think if you set the thing, I guess I can test this. So maybe this is an interesting thing to test. So if I set the thing to the default thing on this one, if the icons are gonna work. Because this is the thing that is confusing me. Is that I think that those things are not necessarily. I do think once you set the specific values on the thing is gonna override. That has to be the case because of the way that this one works. So the reason why it changes the thing is because of the specific names you put here. So this is gonna be the name of the class, I think, and then the name of the member variable of the class. And when you set the new style box here, then whatever node has this theme is going to override this style based on this class here. So I think that it has to be the case that the default theme is not set, but because I don't remember seeing anywhere that where it sets the default theme on any node. So it has the like this function that initializes on the other one, but it doesn't set the thing after it creates. The ThemeDB initialize theme is called on the main, but it doesn't set any theme, I think, as far as I understand. So it's setting here, the default theme should be this one, but I don't think it's gonna do anything with this. I'm pretty sure that I remember looking into this here. So I think you just initialize the theme, but it doesn't set on the nodes on the project, but I'm not 100% sure. If it does set on the project, on the node, then it should override the styles with the ones that, which I think is what makes more sense. But it's weird that like it doesn't have anything here. So the only way that you would be setting is if it is setting on another place that I don't understand. Yeah, so I think here it has to be, so it's gonna load from the script loader. And here is the main place. So it whenever is the game is going to initialize the game based on the main scene, which is on the project settings. So if you're running the game on the executable, then it finds the main scene based on the project settings. Yeah, this. No, I think is before. At this basically. So whatever you put here is gonna be the main scene. And then based on this, it's gonna instantiate the scene there on the package scene thing. It's basically this control flow. And this part I remember that is weird, so I'm not really sure if I'm understanding correctly. Because as far as I understand, this is for scripts, but maybe not. There's a global thing that you can do there that I'm not really sure is related to JavaScript, which I didn't study that much because I want to avoid using JavaScript. So I'm not really sure. Like if you don't have this auto load, then how does it work? Because you're not gonna loop here. But I'm pretty sure that what it's gonna do is just gonna instantiate this scene. Whenever it's running the game. And this is gonna be the main thing that uses there. So it gets a node from this main scene, and then it adds as directly a direct child from the roots of the scene tree, which is the thing that uses to render the game. So it's adding the nodes based on the package scene there, just based on this auto loads. And the n is gonna be based on this, the instantiated package scene. Maybe there is another place, but the point is that at least if it is on this place, then there isn't anywhere that it sets the theme, I think. So maybe by default, no node has the default theme. But then what would be the point of having the default theme? That's the thing that is weird. So I might be incorrect here. Or maybe this. Oh, so there's also here. Mainly trying to clarify now whether or not like all the nodes are gonna have the default theme, because that if that's the case, then it should be working. But it is kind of weird, like it doesn't make sense. Because how does that work? Like what is the connection of the icon with how it determines to show the icon? That's the thing that is weird. It has to be related to the way that the class is gonna draw stuff. So I think that it is not setting you just initialize the default thing. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to see if it has a good response. But I think it just oh, I think that what happens is like probably on the default nodes that they have on the scene, they use the default theme. That's why some of them have. That's probably how it works. So you have to set it on the node, and the default theme is just a template. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna look into the editor, the file dialog to see. There's probably, I think, usually it's on the draw, the notification draw or something like that. The way that it determines what is gonna draw. Oh, it's setting on the bottom. Also, that's why. Yeah. So it sets on the bottom and it just uses the thing to get the icon. So the theme is just a cache. And then probably when you want to use something from the default theme, it uses the default theme class. Now one thing that I can test is to comment out the enum there. I'll do that. So I want to see the thing I want to see if the icon goes away when I do that. Which probably, I think it will. It will. Because I don't think that it sets the default theme. It just uses the themes as templates. And then when you want to override something, you have to access the default theme and then you manually set on the node. You want to change the thing. But I'm not sure about this. So it must be inside of the scene tree. It doesn't have anything. Must be here. And maybe it's just it's hallucination, or it happens somewhere else. Let's take a look here as well. Yeah, it doesn't have anything. But like it wouldn't make sense. It has to set the theme at some point. Also, otherwise it doesn't make sense. It's just very hard to find where it does this. I guess like does it do it here? I guess on this set theme type variation maybe. But I like the icon should but you guess the theme from there, I think. I guess it sets the icon from the button and you guess the icon from there. So the macro is just getting the icon from the TeamDB. But I don't think it's setting the default theme anywhere. That's the thing. I think it's just hallucination. It has to be because it doesn't have any set theme on the sync tree. So another thing that I can test, but then it's gonna, but maybe I can break on purpose, just see what happens. So just comment out the initialization of the theme and see what happens if it's gonna change any files. And so now it doesn't show the icon here. I'm pretty sure that I understand now how it works there, but I'm still not 100% sure. I think that it doesn't set the default theme anywhere. It just uses as a template. So what I wanted to do is just set the style, outside. I was gonna test this as well. I think I commented out here. So I'm gonna test there if the style is the same. And then I'm gonna set here to see what happens. So I'm gonna set on the base, initialize the theme here, and then set the theme on the base. And see what happens. And once I do this, I'm gonna think about and what to do. I'm gonna do that off string, but yeah, because I wanna spend more time thinking about which one is better to do functions or a class. But I think it's probably since you can't really select a custom class there, just at the theme, it's probably better to create functions and then just set on the nose anyway. Because I think if that works on the way that I'm gonna test there, then it means that it's possible to set with functions because the class is gonna cache the theme, the custom theme. So now it is different. So I'm gonna see if I initialize there on the thing. So I wanna see if it's gonna cache this there. Both if he's gonna cache and if the other class is gonna get the thing from this one, which is on the root, which I think it will, but not 100% sure. So if it doesn't work, then I'm gonna test to see if I set the thing on the node itself, if it's gonna work. But I think if this does work, then it means that I can just call functions. So I create functions on the module there. Then the functions are just gonna initialize the theme like this, and I'm gonna use the other functions to create the style boxes based on parameters, and then I just determine whatever I want the theme to have. And I guess I can just reuse the. I don't need to create the unless I'm gonna use new icons, but even then it's probably easier to just put as part of the default theme because it's not gonna change anything else. Just like a so I might test upstream to see if it is what I'm thinking about. That doesn't matter if the default theme is initialized or not. It's not gonna change the style unless the nodes themselves call the theme DB to use the default theme. But if that's the case, then which I think it is, then it doesn't matter if you add extra icons to the default theme because the classes are not going to change. They're only going to use the icons that already exist. So it's going to be easier to just put any extra icons on the same place as the default theme instead of doing the icons there. But maybe like to separate them is better to just copy there. So what is going on? I'm gonna run with this. It's just easier. Just see what is going on. I'll be right back. just because I forgot uh, to put the initial thing there. Yeah, it's because I didn't initialize. Oh, so for the icons, I was thinking about that. It might be worth it to just put on another folder there, so I have like separation for the modules. But I think for all the icons that I use on the modules, I can just reuse the same, and I can just change the logic there. Like on the node as well, I can get the icon from the thing. Yeah, let me think about. Oh, so it does work. Nice. Hmm. So the last thing that I'm gonna do now is just to see what happens if you don't initialize the default theme. So I'm gonna comment out. But probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create functions. I'm gonna make it based on functions, and then on the functions I'm just gonna initialize the theme and then return the theme. And then I'm gonna use the other functions from the other file to not repeat myself a bunch. Like these functions here. And then for the icon, I think I'm just gonna create I guess I can use this one and then for each project I just yeah, but I'm not really sure. Or I can just create like one main folder and just leave all the icons that I'm gonna use based on that. So the thing doesn't so icon name. Oh no, this one is based on the image, not the thing. So this is separate actually, so it doesn't matter. I was conflating the functionality because I thought this one was based on the themes as well, but it's not. It's just based on the. But I guess I can make based on the theme. I can do the same thing that they are doing in the editor file dialog, and then instead of getting the image from here, I can get it from the theme. But I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not. Because the concern that I have is that like what I would have to do is just put a check to see if the theme was set or not, and then if it wasn't, I would have to throw a message or like, do something. So I'm not sure if it's worth it. So maybe it's better to just leave it like this for this class and then just change the theme. So like this theme here is just related to the slider there. It's not related to the icons on the buttons. So for this one, it doesn't matter that much because it's not that important. So if I forget to set the theme, it's just gonna look in a different way. But probably what I'm gonna do anyway is just create, instead of setting the themes on the nose, I create a main theme and then just set that on the root of the scene for each scene. And then I call the function on the function that creates the scene, I call the other function from the themes and then get the theme and then just set. It's probably better. Because then it ensures consistency across the thing. And if I want specific themes, then I can create specific functions on the theme to change the original theme. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is just check based on the ThemeDB if it doesn't initialize what happens. I think it's gonna crash because probably other classes depends on that, but I just wanna see which classes depends. So I'm gonna do this one. Three. And then the finalize thing. It doesn't have. That's weird. So I guess on at some point it's gonna call this thing. Hmm. I guess it doesn't matter that much. I think it probably calls this somewhere else, but like, it would be showing here. So maybe when you finalize the TeamDB, or it has a destructor on the TeamDB. Yeah, so on the destructor is gonna call. But it looks like it doesn't call the other function. Yeah, so now I'm curious, just see. where it's gonna crash. It's probably gonna be on a class that crashes SimDB. So I don't think it says the TeamDB. Hmm. Maybe it's on the window that it says the default thing. That's that thing. Hmm. Might be here. At one moment does it do this? Yeah, I don't think it's setting the thing here. So it might be here. So it is the that way. So based on the macros, even though it doesn't set the thing directly, it sets based on these macros. And because it uses these macros, it's going to like the root node is gonna have the default thing by default. Because it's getting from the teamDB and the teamDB initializes the thing. So that's what's going on. Also, this is a lambda. Just realized now. It's passing this lambda to the binds thing. But this, it doesn't look like it is setting anything. Yeah, I think it doesn't matter that much anyway. But I'm pretty sure what is going on is initializing the default theme, and then on the nodes that you once choose the default theme, you just stats on the node. But the thing is, like, the macro doesn't seem to be setting anything specifically. It just changes the cache of the class. And I think it's just for setting the node. Because like this is gonna be the setter on the other thing there. So it's binding the class on the TeamDB. Maybe the notification here. Notification. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's this is what is gonna. It doesn't set directly, it just uses indirectly. And what I'm gonna do now is just to create the functions there. So going to use the I'm gonna change the class there that I have on the VM so that it uses the editor file dialog instead. Because probably what I'm gonna do is just let's study how just see how I can change, probably test things on this class. Just see how I can navigate through a path outside of the project directory. But I'm gonna use the file dialog because it's easier to set up. And then if I want to change the way it looks, I'm just gonna do it based on the theme. And for the theme, I'm probably going to use the same icons there from the defaults. And I'm gonna use functions probably. So the first theme is gonna be just putting this style box from the icon sidebar. Yeah, I'm gonna stop here. So I'm going to do this off stream. And next time, I'm just gonna study. So the next thing I'm gonna do is just study the file system doc, and I'm just gonna leave the. I'm gonna do the initial setup for the theme. Probably just copy as well the function there that they use for the icons, just so I have a separation of icons. But I'm not gonna have any icons now. I'm just gonna use the defaults whenever I can. And then whenever I need an icon that is not on the defaults, then I'm just gonna use the setup that I have here. So I'm just probably gonna copy the function, and I think it doesn't matter that much because like you can differentiate based on the name. So I can put all of the icons that both the editor and the default theme have, as long as the names are different on the same theme. And then it's only gonna set those icons. Like you have to get the icon from the theme in order to set it on specific nodes, or I can create a theme. But actually, I'm not sure. It depends on the. Maybe it does matter because then when you set, you have to. Yeah. But I guess you can change based on the logic, so it can load and then I can remove. So I'm gonna separate anyway. I'm gonna like create the starts on this one. Just copy the way that they do there on the build system. And just create another function. Like the most annoying thing is that like if I if I want to have several different folders for different kinds of icons, then I have to create a different function each time because I'm gonna have to create a new file. But I don't think that's that big of a problem. I'll think more about this and then I'll see. But most likely what I'm gonna do now is just leave with the file dialog for now, change the function there, change the this one so that I use inherit from file dialog instead of confirmation dialog. So I can change later. I'm just gonna copy everything from. No, actually, I'm gonna inherit from confirmation dialog. Like this class is gonna be the file dialog, It's gonna be exactly the same thing, just the name's gonna be different, so I can change it later. But I'm gonna leave the way that it is there, and I'm gonna focus on the file system doc next to understand the file system doc, so I can finish the other parts, and then I can see how the signal is gonna work to connect the option there to select and the file system doc. And then once I do that, then I might go back and think about the. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go back on this class on the file dialog to see how can I change so that I can navigate outside of the root of the project. And once I have that, then I continue with the other stuff. But I'm probably not gonna. I'm just gonna do the initial setup of the thing now, because now I understand how everything works. But I'm not gonna worry about the thing now. But probably the way that it's gonna work is just gonna be I'm gonna create several different functions for different themes, and then whenever I can switch up between different themes on different things if I want to, and I'm just gonna set on the roots of this thing each time. So yeah, see